Hello everyone, welcome back. We're working on this 06 Silverado that we've done a lot of work on already. We are on the final step of it. You're looking at the muffler. He wants to change the muffler. As you can see, it's in really good shape. And it's also a welded muffler, so there's a special procedure you need to follow when you have a welded exhaust system. So let me start it up so you can listen to the truck. I'll put you back here by the tailpipe so you can get a good sound. And then we'll change the muffler out, and then we'll start it up again and see if we notice any difference in sound. So coming out because that's what they do. Personally, I'd be fine with that. It sounds just like a normal truck. And the exhaust system, as you can see, in really good shape. I don't understand why somebody would purposely want to do this. But, see, no real damage to the exhaust here. You do have this heat shield that you're going to lose because this is band strapped. These are band straps, and you're going to lose that when you put the new muffler on because there's no way to change it around, because as we'll find out when we take the muffler off how that works. I think that's why he wants to change the muffler, because of that hole in the back, which is supposed to be there. It's a drain hole so it doesn't rust out your muffler, but he wants to change the pipe. He's looking for a quieter sound, so we're going to see if we can accomplish that today. Alright, now this is a welded system. You got your weld right there. On a welded system, I always cut it just as close to the weld as I can get it, because you're going to need all this extra pipe right here for your new muffler to slide up on. Same thing on the back. So, you can use anything you want. You can use a reciprocating saw, or a chop saw as they call them. A circular saw with a steel blade in it. You can use a jigsaw with a steel blade in it, or you can hacksaw it off if you want to sit there all day and cut on that pipe, or you can do what I'm going to do and use that little bad bama jammer right there. This is my pipe cutter, so that's how I'm going to do it. Now, because of the sparks and everything that's going to go flying under here, I'm not going to video the whole procedure, but basically you're going to cut as close to that weld as you can. But what I'm going to do is, in between cuts, I'll bring it back in and I'll show you what I've got done. You also want to jack the truck up if you need the extra room. One thing I was going to try to do was to put a jack stand under here to kind of hold the muffler up as you cut it. That way it doesn't fall, because this muffler's pretty heavy, so you want to kind of put something underneath it to hold it up until you're ready to take it out. So I can't put a jack stand in here because I don't have any small enough to fit, and I'm not jacking this truck up any higher than I have to. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cut, and then I'll bring you back. Because here's the back of it right here. You gotta, I'll move you up above the, there's that weld on the back. You want to cut it as close to the weld as you can. And then we'll bring you back and show you what we got done. Alright, I started on the back, and you can see we got the back about 3/4 of the way cut through. There's a tiny little bit holding it on. You want to unhook your attachments for your exhaust. You got one there, and you got one up front, and then there's another one back there. And the reason you want to do that is because it's going to lower the pipe down enough to where you can get your cutting tool up in there. Now, if you're using a chop saw, you don't have to do that. Just be careful you don't nick your drive shaft. And the reason I started on the back was because it's easier to get to from a cutting standpoint, because you see how big this pipe is. This muffler is huge. So you're going to finish up by hitting the front, but see what that's going to do, that's going to create a lot of weight. And electric cutting tools don't like a lot of weight when you cut with them. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I got my small floor jack. I'm thinking about putting it underneath here to kind of put a little bit of stability in the situation. But I'm only going to do it if after I start cutting up here, if it looks like it's going to be hard for me to cut through. So let me show you where I'm going to cut here on the front. I'm going to cut as close to that weld as I possibly can, so that way I save this pipe right here, because I got to have something to put the tailpipe on. And yeah, so I'm going to start doing that, and then I'll bring you back when it's all to a certain point, and we'll take it from there. All right, so we got the front cut. As you can see, got a little bit left there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put the jack underneath the back of it, because you can see it's kind of smashing down right there. I'm going to jack the back of the muffler up, take a screwdriver, a flat screwdriver, put it right up inside this spot right there, and slam it with a hammer. And then that's going to break that loose, because it's going to act like a chisel. So this is where the floor jack comes into play, in case you were wondering, because I mentioned floor jack earlier. I'll show you how this works. Put the floor jack underneath the back. Jack the back of the muffler up, right? And what you're doing is taking the weight off the pipe. Okay, so that's about as good as you want to go. You don't want to jack it all the way up, because you need room for flex. Now we're going to go to the car, and we're going to grab our 10-pound sledgehammer that we're going to need to do this with. We've already got our screwdriver. So let's see if we can find our hammer. I think it's in the back here. Yeah, like my tool car, it's not supposed to be this way. I just haven't had time to clean it out. All right. We got our sledgehammer. We got our screwdriver. I'm going to try to find a good spot to put you guys so you can see what I'm going to do here, where you're not in the sun. I think. Let's see if we tip you. There's really no good place to put you to see this. So what I'm going to do is get creative with my camera techniques here. I'm hoping that you guys can see this okay. Get the scooch over a little bit. I think I better view. I apologize for the camera views. It's a little hard to film this with what I have available, but at least you get to see what I'm about to do here. Take a screwdriver and you stick it up in this slot right here. Take your hammer. And you'll know you'll succeed when muffler falls off. See that? And if you want to, you can pry back on it and see what you're doing is you're cutting the metal using a screwdriver. And you get the general idea of what I'm doing here. So I'm gonna finish this up. I'll be right back. And then we'll move on to the next step and kind of see what we're doing here. So you just got a little bit left to hit right there on the end, and that thing's gonna come right off. You see that right there? A little bit left, so let me get that and I'll be right back. All right, so we got our exhaust pipe off. A little bit of twisting action does it a lot of way there. So you can see where I twisted it down there on the corner. And then you take your screwdriver and you pop it through the top up there and it pops it loose. So now we have our ends we need. This is off the engine side. There's our tailpipe down there. This is the heat shield that you're going to lose because we can't reuse that because I don't have any band straps for that to work. So now I'm going to put you up on the pod. I'm going to drag that out and then we're going to look at our new hardware because I think it needs to be viewed after all the work we've done on this today. To be honest with you, I really don't see a reason to do this, but like I said before, he wants a quieter truck. I mean, it doesn't sound like a drag truck in any scope of the imagination. And if this exhaust muffler was rotted out, I could see changing it, but as you can see, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay. All right, so this is your GM muffler. And you see what I was talking about by band straps. Right there. There's your band straps right there, see? If I had some of these, we could reuse this heat shield, but since I don't, we can't. But the good news is, this truck doesn't get warm enough underneath to where it requires an extra heat shield. Now, if it was a diesel truck or a 350 or a whatever the hell they call it these days, we could go ahead and do that, but it's not. So let me grab our hardware and I'll show you what we're going to do. All right, so if you're going to do this job and you want to do quiet flow muffler, here's your part number right there, 21356. 2 3/4 inch pipe, so you're going to need to get 2 pipe clamps, which I do have in here. These are your pipe clamps right here. You see? And then if you want a part number, there's your part number on the end there. You're going to need 2 of these, one for the tailpipe side and one for the engine side. And I do have that, so we're good to go there. I lost one of them on the ground over there. So, this box out of the way and I'll show you what we got here quick. All right, so there's your one end, and there's your other end here. Now you understand why we cut as close to the muffler as possible, because they don't give you much to scab onto here. So, next thing we need to do is, there's a marking on here that says inlet. We got to figure out if that means that we're putting that on towards the engine, or if that means we're putting that on towards the tailpipe. I'm assuming, because it says inlet, that you're going to put the pipe, it's going to go like this, basically, like that. You got your inlet facing this way, your engine's on this side, and then your tailpipe's over there. But I'll get it arranged under there, and then I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll put some clamps on it and send it home. Okay, everybody, came across a small problem. This end is the same size as the truck, because the truck was a welded unit, so we gotta put some adapters on it. So One end's going to get this 2.5 by 3 adapter. Let me see the part number there for you if you need to do this. And that's going to go on this end here like that. And then this end's going to be small enough it's going to fit inside the truck pipe. The other end is again a different size, so that'll get one of these. This is your part number here for that. So the way this is going to work, that fits nice and snug down there. We've got a couple extra pipe clamps. We've got a 3-inch clamp that's going to go around this end. It'll hold it to the muffler. And then we got another 2 3/4 clamp so that we can tie it all together under the truck. So if you have a welder and you're really good at welding, you just clean your burrs off, because that's what I'm about to do. So, you know, you get your file out, clean the burrs off the pipe, and then you hold it up there with whatever little jig you want to use, and then you just weld it back on there and you're done. But since I don't have a welder and all that good stuff, we're going to do it this way. Now, normally I could take this and bang this on with a block of wood and a hammer, but we're going to try to clean the burrs off first and see if we can twist it on, kind of like, you know, just kind of twist it on, so that way we can try not to screw up the end of our fitting here, our adapter. So we got some burrs right here we got to get. So notice I'm going one way with the file and not back and forth, because that's how you destroy your file. And that filed it down real good. Let's see if we can twist this on. Yep. Almost got it. All right, so let me go get a block of wood and I'll show you method B. So to do this job, you're going to need your hammer. If you have a bench vise, this works real good because you can clamp it down in the bench vise. But if you don't, get it on there the best you can. With one hand, hold your block of wood up, and with the other hand, grabbing this the best you can, smack it with a hammer until it goes on the end of the... It wants to fight me. So we can do it this way. Let me turn you up here so you can, we're going to pick the pipe up. So we're going to pick the pipe up. I'll show you how you do it this way. Pick your pipe up, set it like this. You can't see the pipe. You guys, set your pipe up like this. Take your block of wood so you don't screw up the end of your fitting there. And you beat it down. That's the theory anyway. So let me do that. Let me get this fitting on here, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next here. All right, we got our piece on. Had to get ugly with it, but we got it on there. All right, so we need our 3-inch clamp. Put around this end right here. So let's put our clamp on. We're not going to tighten it up all the way until it's underneath the truck in case we have to move the clamp. Because there's a drive shaft in the way and there's a bunch of other stuff down there we need to take account on. So not knowing which way this is going to go, we're just going to loosely put the clamp on in case we have to turn it. And then once we get it in final position, we'll give it the beans and we'll tighten it down. We got a burr on our threads right there from the looks of it. Last time I checked, these were 14mm. So let me go grab a 14mm socket and we'll get that. This is why I like having 2 workbenches, because then you can set your tools up on one and your part on the other. Yeah, it had a burr on it, so we got it all cleaned up. And then we'll tighten it down, but not tight. You just want it tight enough to hold the clamp in place. Because when you tighten this down, you got to tighten it down like a little bit here and a little bit here. Equal clamping force on that. So let's go ahead and get our other clamp on the other side. So we'll grab our 2 3/4 clamp for the other side. We'll turn this around here. You can see what we're doing. This side went on no problem. But again, because we don't know how this pipe's going to sit inside the truck, you want to get it all the way to the end where it won't go any further. And then what I like to do sometimes is I'll put a couple taps on the end of it to kind of press it into that spot right there. But I don't think we're going to have to in this case. I think it's going to go pretty easy. Put your clamp on. And you put your clamp on, put it as close to the edge of the connector as you can. There are some people that say you could put it in the middle like this. It all depends on how it fits. We could probably put it in the middle because the entire muffler is inside the connector, so we could probably do it that way. But if you have limited space or you're having an issue with the vehicle pipe, you can put it on the end. As long as it's sealed, you'll be fine. Just put our clamp down. Now we are going to put a little bit of a snug on this one, only because we got to make sure our connector doesn't come off. Let me grab a 14 wrench and we'll tighten that down a little bit. Whenever you put a adapter on a pipe, you just want to tighten it down enough to hold the adapter in place. You don't want to put it down to where you have problems with the pipe. So you can start to feel the adapter clamping down on the muffler, and then that's good enough, because like I said before, we don't know if we have to change the location of this pipe connector, so we want to make sure that we got a that'll work for right now. We'll get on it with the impact here later. So now we got to get this underneath the vehicle. So I'll go ahead and put this up underneath there, and then I'll show you how the ends went together and everything and what we have to do next. One thing I will tell you about exhaust systems is it's trial and error. So it's a piece that I put on the muffler. If you get some spray on it, you can tap it off. Sometimes they won't come off, but this is how we end up having to do it. We have to put the end on this side, and then we'll have the other attachment on the other side, and then we put the muffler in the middle. So what I'm about to do here, I've got my impact gun. My 3-inch clamp's gonna go face down like this. We're gonna put our clamp on like this. And then I might turn it sideways like this a little bit, you know, being a truck and all. Give it the beans. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll be right back. Let me show you our finished product. We got our clamp back here. That's the tailpipe. You might notice that our hanger is a little bit different. If I had more time or I had more resources, I would buy the connector without the butt in the middle of it, because if you get that connector that doesn't have the butt in the middle, that would bring that down a little bit more to where it would fit better. But since all they had was that kind, that's what I had to do. Let me show you the front. Front looks really nice. Bolted up real good. So the only thing we got left to do now is we got to start it, check it for leaks, and then we're going to give it a listen. See if it sounds any different than the beginning of the video. I'm betting no. I think it's going to sound the same, to be honest with you. I think it's going to sound exactly the same. But then when you're doing exhaust work, it's a crapshoot, really, because, you know, unless you're going for cherry bombs and pop, pop, pop sounds, you know, you really don't really get a whole lot from changing your muffler unless it's rotted out. This one, as we know, was not rotted out. So, back in position you go. I'm going to fire it up, and we're going to listen to it, and I'm going to crawl under it while it's running and check it for leaks. So we got a small leak on the engine side of the pipe, but that's only because of the fittings being two different sizes. Now, if he wants to, he can have it welded by a muffler shop. That would take care of that issue. They do make some sealant you can buy. It's kind of like rubber that we could put around the end there, and that'll take that out, but it's such a small leak I don't even think you can hear it. I'm gonna rev it up a little bit so you can hear what it sounds like, and then I think we're gonna call this one done. Truck down here. All right. That's going to do it for us on this one. Yeah, when it comes to exhaust systems, you got to be, first of all, it doesn't hurt to have a plan. I'm winded, by the way, that's why I'm kind of sounding funny. But see, if you got a factory exhaust system and it's in good shape, leave it alone. That's the best advice I can give you. Just leave it alone. I mean, unless you're wanting to do cherry bombs or glass packs or things like that. I mean, we're going to be doing exhaust again soon, but it's going to be on our 97 Escort. That one definitely needs it, but we'll get to that when that time comes. So this is going to do it for me. I got to get my tools picked up out of this truck and get his final work order written on it so he can get it home. So until next time, be careful, work smart, and we'll see you later.